is capitalism pro-narcissism? I guess I read a study about CEOs or executives at these top businesses and a certain percentage of them being narcissist or having lacking of empathy. Fail for you. And that being almost a requirement to ascend to these higher levels of employment.
That's interesting. That's a really good question. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, but what I will say, that's a tough question to answer.
Well, capitalism is like, if it really nurtures, I'm not a big fan of capitalism. I'll just say.
Well, what I would say is it's like, how closely is that tied to someone's sense of self-preservation?
Is being successful. Well, those that have being successful tied to life and death survival,
right,
they're going to be the ones that strive the hardest to do, whatever is necessary to achieve it, I would imagine.
Right.
People that are namaste are just going to be like, okay, man, that seems like this is your thing. I'm not willing to do that.
I mean, again, I try not to be so black and white in anything.
Right.
I think you should try. Right. I think it's really important to try to be able to say, like, there's some attributes of this that can be really dangerous, and that can, if we go 100% in this direction, it can be destructive.
Yeah.
So are there attributes of, where things go wrong? And you see this like with your understanding of, like communism coming from a lot of these ideas seemingly being like they could be really good in theory, but then they kind of break down.
Execution.
Yeah, it's on the execution.
I said earlier I don't agree with capitalism, but I really just am disenchanted, or I don't think that our version of capitalism that we're practicing right now is distributing wealth in an effective way.
Okay.
I feel like it's like if we were a bunch of people that needed water to drink in order to live,
sure,
we've got a handful of folks that are glaciers and a lot of people that are thirsty. And so we have wealth kind of tied up in these huge places that we can't unlock, and a lot of people that are thirsty and need it. And I think if capitalism is a process through which we distribute and share wealth, I don't think it's working for us right now.
I mean, certainly there's a lot of areas that you could see where the disproportionality, right?
Yeah.
Right? We see that across cultures. And so, but
just
again,
look at Bernie Sanders if you want to know more about that. He does a great job
of articulating.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so complicated, right? And then it comes down to like these more nuanced, like systemic issues, and how are we handling things on a systemic level? Like how are we utilizing our tax dollars, and are they being distributed effectively?
We're talking about Doge now.
And the way that we're like, actually, some of these programs, maybe they sound really good in theory, but do they fail on the execution? I think that's something that as I become, I think as you go through, as you emotionally mature, maybe your values over time change, or maybe you go back to like your roots in a sense, and you start to see that maybe some of the ideas and theories that, or ways of solving problems that you thought in theory sounded really great, but then you see how the execution really fails.
Yeah.
Then it makes you kind of go back and say, okay, well, this thing that was presented to me is helping a lot of people, but it seems to be failing on all these different levels. Then I think we have to really question how we're executing certain
Maybe
things.
Go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to say about narcissism as we kind of wrap up this section?